Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to the video. Ever since I started making planter pots, I've always wanted them to be adjustable. And by that I mean, how far down into the water column is it going to sit? So if I have a plant that likes really wet roots, I can lower it down quite a bit. And then of course for those plants that like a slightly drier environment, I can raise it up higher so it is not, sticking in the water too much. Now the reason why I haven't done that to date is it's a lot more work, as you're going to see as this video progresses. So the original builds were proof of concepts. I wanted to make sure that growing plants in the side of the aquarium was going to be something that was going to work for not just a couple plants, but at least a reasonable variety. And if you've been watching the Sunday vlogs, you can see that they're doing really quite well. So I thought I would try this out. Now, I decided I wanted to start with some circular ones because that makes the adjustable a little bit easier. Unfortunately, the only drill bits I have that can cut a sufficient diameter hole are these really cheap hole saws. I bought these a long time ago, and I don't really use them that much, and this particular one here actually hasn't been used at all. But you can see there's quite a bit of wobble in this, and I actually had to use a lubricant to even get it to cut and not melt everything entirely, and that is probably the ugliest hole I think I've ever drilled. But I didn't really want to go out and spend a bunch of money to get good sized and good quality drill bits until I like doing it this. If this turns out to be the way I want to do it, I will probably have to bite the bullet and get some better quality ones. As you can tell, I have clamped this down really solidly. There is a vice grip and 2 clamps on this, and that is just to try and compensate for the amount of vibration. You can see I've stopped this a couple of times. I keep having to adjust and tighten everything, and it was actually a fair amount of work, which is really silly, just to drill these 3 holes. And fortunately, this part here is easily replaceable. This is going to be a partial lid for one of my aquariums, and these 3 pots are going to sit down into that with a bracket, which I can adjust the height of, and that is how far they're going to go in and go out. And that it makes them so simple to pull out and put in and change and all that sort of stuff, which is kind of key for this. And actually, I got this idea off a channel I've been watching for quite some time. It is the gentleman who makes the channel is Michael, and I'm going to leave a link for his channel below. He does. He's from New York, and he does a lot of very sustainable aquarium systems. He makes a lot of his own fish food, and a lot of the builds he does are as low tech as you can get. And he actually has really interesting time-lapse stuff, and it actually is a channel I really do recommend you going and checking out. He does these with jars, and doesn't use acrylic or anything, but he does use the same kind of concept. So whenever I get an idea from somebody, I always like to give them the credit where it's definitely where credit is due, and definitely go check them out. And as you can see, this is one of my larger drill bits, and it is a quality one, and you can see the difference and how simple this is to drill relative to what I had to do for that hole saw. This is just straight, no lubricant, one simple vice grip just to hold it in place, and this is just normal speed here, so, and the other one's sped up, of course. That is how simple it is when you have good bits. But I don't have access to everything I need, so this is what I have to work with. So I'm going to take these. Those are I'm only making 3 pots, and as you can tell by the clip, the thumbnail, one of them didn't work out. But I always, when I'm working with a lathe to make a friction fit, I always make one extra one because it's easier to adjust slowly to get to a point where it's a friction fit when I have an extra one to play with. That way, if I go a little bit too far and it's a little too loose, I've only ruined one. I don't have to restart the whole thing and just for one piece. So I'm going to end up with 2 in the end of this extra ones because they all worked out quite nicely. But like I said, I don't want to have to backtrack for one piece when I can do four all at once like this. And that makes it a lot simpler. And there you go. Once you start seeing it come off like that, you know you're getting close. And the outside diameter is not terribly important as long as all the pots fit in the bracket. So I just want to make it a little bit smoother here. There's one part of this build that I didn't show, and that is the initial roughing out of the central hole. So once these come out, I'm going to take them off the arbor, and I'm going to put it in the jaw and just rough out that hole. Like I said, I didn't bother showing that. There's an awful lot of lathe work going to be in this anyway, so I didn't want to bore you guys with too much of it. So I've already done initial roughing on the hole, so it's a lot larger than the 1 inch that it was, and I'm just going to go through a couple of processes here. I don't like to go all the way with one. So what I'm doing here, because the lathe is really good at setting specific dimensions, I'm going to initially rough out these holes to within a 1/10 of an inch. Actually, I think it was a little bit closer than that as it turned out. I wasn't being too concerned about it because this, like I said, this is just a quick roughing out. And then I'm going to do this one more time. And this time I'm going to get within less than 1/100th, I think. And it turns out when I did this, I got to within 4/thousandths of an inch. Sorry, my bad. And that way I can come, the final amount, the final adjustment is just going to be a very simple, a couple of really light passes just to get that friction fit that I want. So I'm going to put my micrometer on here, and you can see it just doesn't quite fit through, and that's exactly how I want it for the final adjustment. So I'm going to do that last one. It's going to look exactly the same as the ones before it, but instead I'm only moving the sled just like 1/1000th at a time, and I did 4 of those passes, and then it turned out nice and perfect. So I ended up with 4 of these. I only have 2 as it turns out. To there you go, nice and snug. So that's what I like. It'll fit on there, it'll be adjustable, I can move it up and down depending on how I want this to work. And all it's left to do now is to take the 3 pots and just trim them here. And this all worked out perfectly fine. You can see I still have those bushings I use to make sure I can clamp the tubes down quite tightly. And then I need to put bottoms on those. This doesn't require too much additional work. It is exactly the same as all the other lids I do. I do modular lids, as you can tell from well, a lot of the videos I've done and the Sunday vlogs. And all I need to do here first, though, is take a little bit of that roughness off. My apologies, that is just truly an ugly hole, but it is what I have at the moment. And like I said, I don't have a lot of funds to go buying lots of new equipment, so this is what I have. And as you can see, the pots fit nicely through there. So I'm going to just peel this off. I'm going to put on the brackets I use. If you watch the lids that I currently make, I put these reinforcings on the bottom just so the acrylic doesn't curl or bend or whatever you want to call it, and it keeps them nice and straight. Well, within a total bend of probably about 1/8 of an inch over I think about 3/4 of a year so far, and that's more than enough for me. So I'm going to put these on, and then I'm going to weld on you can see the square pieces up in the upper right there. I'm going to put those on the bottom of the soon to be pots, and they have to cure for a while, because even though this is only 1/8 that's going in the bottom of these, I do want to make sure that all the methylene chloride is completely evaporated, and that way I don't have any risk of just popping off, and that's quite annoying. Now, if you remember from the clip, the thumbnail, one of them didn't work out, and that is one of the dangers or hazards, or a nuisance is what I call it, of working with acrylic. Sometimes you'll end up with a little bit of, not necessarily a bubble, but a weaker spot in the this is extruded, so it's not exactly completely solid all the way through, and actually not even the same internal and external diameter all the way through. So it can be a little annoying to work with. And when I went to round these out. I don't actually think I even put a clip of this on here. After I took this initial roughing out here, I put them in the lathe just to smooth out the bottoms, and one of them popped. It just cracked, and that's, like I said, that's the reason why I tend to make an extra one, but I don't have a whole lot of this particular tube, so I'm going to be one short. It's not really a big deal. You can see now that that's been rounded off, and I'm just going to drill some holes around the base. This is, again, quite straightforward, and I am using that internal arbor just to make sure things are as solid as possible. And there's the one that didn't make it. It was just bizarre. I don't normally have that kind of problem with extruded, but it does pop up periodically, and it's just the kind of thing that you need to keep an eye on. Always wear your safety gear. So this is one of the pots that really works well, and I'm really happy with, and this is how simple it is to move from tank to tank. I just wanted to make these new ones because I have, first off, some more plants coming up, and secondly, you'll see in a second here how simple this is to put in, and again, it just gives me another option for being able to move stuff around. Unfortunately, once it is sitting up here on top here as a lid, you can't really see the rough holes. So anyway, it's good enough. And this is how simple this is to put in. Just slides in, and that's it. And if you want to adjust the lid, you pull it out, you wiggle it a little bit, and you just plop it back in. And that's it. That's as simple as that is. The water level in this tank is a little low because I heat this one up a bit more than the rest, because this is where the angelfish breed. So this water level will be normally higher, but this is just to show you guys what's going on here. I will raise this water level up, and I am going to plant these up. You'll get to see them on the Sunday vlog. I'll have some stuff in there, and give you one more close-up. This is actually nice. I like the way this looks, and I think it's going to work quite well, but we'll see. And if I can come up with an interesting and simple way of making square ones adjustable, I will show you that as well. Thank you very much for watching. Leave comments, let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next video, and bye for now.